Hi there, Rima from Eureka Fabrics here, and today I'm going to show you how to do that cute sleeve detail I did on one of the samples for the HackPack Jumper pattern. So let me show you all the pieces that you're going to need. Here's the sleeve. I cut this to be, it looks like it's 6.5 almost long, and you know, when you turn up your hem, it's going to be a nice little short sleeve. You're also going to need some self-bias tape, and it's got to be long enough to go down the center of your sleeve. So you'll need 2 of those there, and then you'll need 2 more for the cords on the little tassels, and then you'll need, for each tassel, you'll need 2 squares of fabric. These are 3 inches square. You could go bigger, you could go smaller, doesn't matter. You just need 2 squares. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is fold my sleeve in half. This particular sleeve is symmetrical, but it sort of doesn't matter. You can put your sleeve pattern up against your arm and decide where you want the opening. It can be anywhere you want to put it. I like it right down the middle, so we're going to cut right down the middle. That can be scary. And then we're going to take, oh, I forgot 2 of the pieces. Haha. You need 2 pieces that are, this is longer than you need, but I cut 6 by 2 3/4 ish. Doesn't really matter. It depends on how wide you want your little bows to be. So you need 2 of those at least. You know what? I think, how many did I do on the dress? I did 3. So I need 1 more, but I don't need to do all 3 of them for you now. So the first thing you're going to do is cut your sleeve down the middle. You're going to take these guys and fold them right sides together. Sew here and make a tube, whatever width, finished width you want that bow to be. So I got my tube here. It's turned right side out. For an application like this, I like to put the seam down the middle of the tube before I press it, because that way the seam will be hidden on the inside. All right, so you're going to decide where you want your bows to be. So, you know, this is actually probably big enough for 2 of them. Let's do that. So, put our bows there. You could do this. You could do whatever you want. So, we're going to put the right side of the bow together with the right side of the sleeve on one side and baste those down. Then you're going to take your bias tape, finish one edge. So I'll probably put that on my serger, or you can fold it under, however you want to do it. So right side of the bias tape like that, and you're going to sew that down at 1/4 inch max. Got my seam sewn and finished my edge, and now we can flip this to the inside like that. Give it a good press, obviously. Yes. And you can top stitch this down. You can stick that down however you want to do it. You are going to need to hold that little facing down. So I did a top stitch on mine, just like that, right on top of either your fold or your serge, or however you did it. Now, you have to decide how far apart you want these guys. I found that 1 inch to 1.25 inches was pretty much as far as you could go. So we're gonna do 1.25 inches. Let's just mark that. Actually, I'm gonna go 1 3/8 inches for a little bit of seam allowance. And that is where we're gonna sew the other side on. So now, that's your right side. You've got right sides together here. Make sure that it's matching up at the top. Like, you wanna make sure you're not doing that. So, make sure that's all hooked up right. And then you take another piece of bias tape, finish that edge, either turn it under or serge it, and we're gonna sew down the other side. Here we go, trim off our excess bias tape. So long, goodbye. Press this one down. I forgot to do my serging right there. We'll pretend we did it. Okay. There's that. Now, when you sew your sleeve into your dress or your top, you usually have enough ease in the sleeve cap, so you can just do that at the top. That's what I did on the dress that I've been showing you guys. You can also leave it open if you want. It's up to you. You can put another bow up there to sort of bridge that gap, but you're gonna want to make sure, like, here, I probably have max 1/2 inch out of the sleeve cap, and I promise you that there's way more than 1/2 inch of ease in your cap. So, you know, you should be okay if you just do that. That should be fine. So to make, and again, you're gonna want to top stitch that down. To make these guys into bows, you literally just pinch in the middle. So it's kind of doing an accordion thing, like this side goes down and that goes up, and then this goes up and that goes down. And you just pinch that right there in the middle and sew it together. I put a little bead on it. You could do a button, you could do, you know, whatever you want. And that's how you end up with those cute little bows. So when I did the sleeve detail on that particular dress, I finished it like this, and I was like, that's cute, but I felt like it needed a closure down here. So you could put another bow there and you'd be fine. But I decided to do the latkins, the Indian tassels, because I'm obsessed with them. They're amazing. So I'm going to show you how to do those. And part of doing that is making the string that the tassel hangs off of. And, you know, that the sort of spaghetti strap thing has always been kind of a nightmare for me. But in the process of doing this, I learned one tiny little secret that just sort of changed everything. So I'm going to show you that secret, and then I'll show you how to make the tassel itself. Here's what you're going to need. You've got your bias tape. You're going to need a piece of string that's pretty darn strong that you can't break. And what you're going to do is sew it really well to the point on the end of your bias tape. Yeah, just make sure your bias tape has that nice diagonal cut, and sew the heck of it down right there. By the way, this is the right side of the fabric here with your cord on it. You're going to fold this over and you're going to start sewing right on the edge here, like right there, so that this is going to be a super wide tube right there. And then once you've gotten that sewn right there, you're going to come all the way in and you're going to sew right here so that you have a super skinny little channel for this cord to be in. And you're going to go all the way down that way. Okay, let's take a look. So you can see I've got my string sewn on here, and I like really sewed it like crazy. And then you'll see that my seam starts way out here, and then it goes in there, and it stays really tight all the way down. Do make sure that you don't sew across your string, except right up here at the top. Now here's why this wide to narrow thing works, and sewing your string on the point. When you pull this now, you'll see that you've got plenty of room to tuck that point into to start turning your tube. Oh yeah, and we're not going to get very far unless we trim this way down. I'm going to trim it so that it's no wider than the distance between your seam and your fold. So, all right. So now I should be able to turn this fairly easily. I mean, it's still going to be a little bit of a struggle, but you'll see that little thing you do at the beginning that gives the tip room to turn makes it so much easier. Yep, it's going through just fine. I'm not gonna make you guys watch me do it, but you'll see it might take a little practice, but I found that one little extra technique of sewing wide and then moving to narrow made all the difference in the world. I'm also being super careful not to dislodge my string from the point, because if you break your string at this point, you're kind of doomed and you'll have to start over. Which, it's not the end of the world, but it would be better if that didn't happen, right? So you can see it's turning pretty well. Yeah, here's another trick. Just don't let it bunch up too much like I just did, because I got all excited because I was coming out the other end. And there we go. Perfect, skinny spaghetti strap, all turned, all nice. Let's get our threads out of there. And then the fat part here, bye-bye. So that's how you do the cords for the Lotkins. Or you know what? You can just get yourself some rat tail and not even bother. But I really wanted the self fabric ones, so there we go. And then you can save your cord again for the next one. All right, let's talk about the tassel itself. There's a million versions of these. This one's really simple, but I absolutely love it. So you've got your two squares. You're going to have them right sides together, and you're going to sew all the way around. And no, you're not going to leave an opening. I'll show you why. Okay, I've sewn this all the way around, and now we're going to turn it right side out. How do we do that? Well, if you're using two different colors, which is often what you would do with these, where the inside and the outside are going to be different colors, you're going to take the inside, whichever color is your inside color, and you're going to make a little snip right here in the middle. What? Yeah, no one will ever see it. And then you're gonna, from that snip, you're gonna turn your square right side out. I'll see you at the end. Okay, I'm back. So now let's poke out our corners very carefully. You might ask, why don't you just leave an edge open? Because you get nicer, more even edges that way. It's traditionally how you do it, although, you know what? If you want to do it the other way, awesome. Also, don't worry if your square isn't exactly square. It's going to be fine. Because fabric is alive and it's trying to escape at all times. Okay, so now we're going to go to this side and we're going to find the middle. There's the middle right there, and we're going to take another itty bitty teeny tiny snip, this time in the outer fabric. So see, I've got a tiny hole there. I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger. Just big enough to get my cord in. Get in there. Need a little bit bigger. And again, the cord goes in from the outside because that's how we want to hang our tassel. So now we're going to fold this in half. And we're going to start, I like to start about halfway between our corners and our fold here. So like right there, you're going to sew from here up to across the cord and then back down here to halfway. Alrighty, so see my stitching here, and then I did a little back tack here on the cord and then here. So now we're going to take this, open it up and flip it the other way, like that. And now we're going to sew again from halfway up to here and then back down there. All right, so now you can trim off whatever excess you had on your little cord right there and turn the whole thing right side out. There it is. Look how cute that is. So cute. Now, this one's really small. I could just leave it like this, but with bigger ones, you probably want to do the final step, and that is to take all these folds right here and have them meet in the middle and sew them together. And I like to put a bead or a button right there or some pretty little shiny thing. And then you are done. Now, to attach these to the sleeve, to the bottom edge of the sleeve, what I did was, doing my hem, fold up a little, fold up my hem, and just stick that cord right in there and sew that up as we're doing our hem. So sew up here and along your hem, and then your ties are attached. So there you go. I hope you had fun sewing with me today. I hope you'll give this a try, and we'll see you again next time.